Okay, welcome to the Orlando Museum of Art virtual tour of Oliver Jeffers, 15 Years of Picturing Books. My name is Molly Lawson, and I'm an educator at the Orlando Museum of Art. And joined with me today is Scottie Campbell from the Orange County Public Library System. How are you, Scottie?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me. Hi, everybody.
Wonderful. Well, we're going to begin our journey by discussing Oliver Jeffers. He's a very handsome fellow, isn't he?
Confirmed.
Confirmed. And we're going to start by discussing one of his most popular books, which is The Day the Crayons Quit.
Oh, yes.
Everybody knows this heard of it. Everybody knows this book. That is right. And so here are the original illustrations by Oliver Jeffers that were then scanned and created into this book.
Oh, so so people probably, they may even have the book in their collection or they checked it out from the library.
Yes.
But this is different because these are the originals. You can be that close to the original drawing. That's awesome.
Yes, that's what's very special about these picture book shows is that we get to see the original illustrations that were then made into a book. And so, Scottie, can you tell what these illustrations were made from?
I'm going to guess, this might be a crazy guess, but I think it's crayons.
You are correct. He did use crayons to create these illustrations.
That's awesome.
He used crayons for majority of the parts, except for the actual crayons themselves. They appear a little bit different, right? And so he used gouache to paint the crayons. Have you heard of gouache before?
I haven't. What is this?
So gouache is a type of watercolor paint that appears opaque, meaning that you can't see through it to the paper beneath.
Oh, okay.
So it's pretty special, but it's really unique that he used actual crayons to make these drawings here.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah. And so what do we think the book is about? The Day the Crayons Quit.
I think the crayons were fed up and walked out the job.
Oh, they absolutely were.
Right.
Absolutely. And here is one of the letters that one crayon, red crayon, wrote to Duncan, the owner. And so red crayon here says, "Hey, Duncan, it's me, red crayon. We need to talk. You make me work harder than any of your other crayons. All year long, I wear myself out coloring fire engines, apples, strawberries, and everything else that's red. I even work on holidays. I have to color all the Santas at Christmas and all the hearts on Valentine's Day. I need a rest. Your overworked friend, Red Crayon."
So is red Duncan's favorite color? Is that what we can assume?
Oh, that's a good assumption. However, red is not his favorite color.
What?
Looking at these, can you guess which crayon might be his favorite color? Because his favorite crayon is up here.
Maybe purple?
Purple? That's a good guess.
It is, okay.
But unfortunately, you're wrong, Scottie.
Man, I'm not having a good day.
It's blue crayon. And the reason why is look how tiny blue crayon is.
Oh,
Blue crayon has been overworked because he is Duncan's favorite crayon.
Clearly, blue crayon should have written that letter because
you're right.
He's the one who's been used the most.
You're right. I think the letters are pretty similar. Do you have a favorite color?
Do I have it? Yeah, my favorite color is orange.
Orange? Why orange?
I'm not sure why. That's a really good question. But for the longest time, it was blue, and then I changed it, which I'm not sure is even legal, but I did.
Wow.
Something about orange makes me feel good.
How brave of you for changing it. I love that, Scottie. Well, Scottie, after Oliver Jeffers wrote The Day the Crayons Quit, guess what? Those crayons came home. They did.
Oh.
And so these are original illustrations from the book, The Day the Crayons Came Home. Yeah, so what colors do we see here?
Well, this is turquoise.
Right? Turquoise.
Now, does Duncan like turquoise since it's similar to blue?
I would assume that maybe. Unfortunately, turquoise crayon did get stuck on a sock because he was left in Duncan's pocket and put through the washing machine.
Whoa.
Oh,
that's something you don't want to do.
Happens to the best of us.
Yeah.
Yes. But my favorite here is Chunky Toddler crayon right here.
All right.
He's a chunk. Now, if you look around the gallery, there are crayons And can you find Chunky Toddler Crayon?
Can I'm sure I'm up to this task.
You can do it. I believe in you.
It
Might be closer than you think, Scottie.
Is it?
You are right.
It's right above me. Okay.
This is Chunky Toddler Crayon right above us.
The most obvious place, and I wasn't looking.
Yes. So all these crayons actually around us were handmade by our Curator of Education, Jane Ferry. Shout out to Jane. Yes, yeah. So the crayons came home. It's a very cute story. Oliver Jeffers did all the illustrations for both of these books. However, Drew Daywalt was the actual writer of the story. And this is one of, or these two stories are the only two books that Oliver Jeffers did not write himself. For the most part, Oliver Jeffers does write and illustrate all his stories.
In this exhibit. Right?
In this exhibit and in anything else that he does.
Gotcha.
Yep, pretty neat. Let's go explore another story by Oliver Jeffers. We're gonna come over here. And now, Scottie, I've got a weird question for you. Have you ever ate a book?
I hope my dad's not watching. No, I have never.
You've never ate a book. What about,
you?
I mean, maybe a little piece of paper here or there. You gotta try it, right?
That's right.
Well, this book that Oliver Jeffers wrote and illustrated is titled The Incredible Book-Eating Boy.
Wow.
Yes.
So what does he do?
What does he do? What do you think? Yes, he eats books. So,
Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert. We can see an original illustration here of books falling right into his mouth.
So great. And so this is one that Oliver Jeffers wrote the story as well.
He wrote the story and he created the illustrations for the book. And so here we see original illustrations that were then scanned and put into the book. But what's unique about these is how they're created, right? How do you think they're created, Scott?
Well,
what do you think? Do you think you used crayons again?
no, this doesn't look like crayons. This looks like pen and ink to me.
Pen and ink? Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You're right.
There's paint in there, but I'm not sure what kind of paint.
Mm-hmm.
This is gouache again?
It is gouache
Look at me
again.
learning.
Look at you learning. It is gouache. This specific piece right here, right?
Specifical. Oliver Jeffers, you can use that word if you want.
I give you permission.
Specifical.
Is a collage, though, of different kinds of paper. And if you look really closely, you can see text from other made books. And so what he does is he takes a variety of kinds of paper, some from used books even, and collages it to make this story. And it's really unique because it's about a boy who eats books and then gains all the information inside the books and becomes very smart from doing that. And it's just cool that he created these illustrations from books themselves.
Yeah, I love that.
Right.
So, do you think that could happen? You read a book, did you absorb
all the information.
It'd make homework a lot easier.
It would make homework so much easier. It would make work so much easier. Oh my gosh.
Absolutely.
I don't think it could happen. And actually, there were consequences for the boy in the story. So he ate too many books, and he was getting a stomach ache, and then he was getting all the information jumbled in his head, so much so that he had to quit eating books, and he decided to do it the old school way, where he read the books to gain the information, right? Took more time, right? A little lesson on time and slowing down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think even then, when you're reading a book, all those stories and all that knowledge just soaks up even more than you realize.
I think so too.
It's just a different way of.
You would know from the library, right? You would know.
Being, working in a library, and I love to read. I loved to read before I got to work at the library.
Mm-hmm.
It's an important thing to keep your your brain sharp and
Absolutely.
helps you with your comprehension, retaining things in your head. So,
You should
big
ask
deal.
some of your colleagues if they've ever ate a book, I would say.
Well, I work with some weird people, so that's probably
High chance.
Probably is
High
happening.
chance. I love that. One other illustration, though, featured here was not intended to be in the book, and that's this illustration right here. And so this is a great example of Oliver Jeffers thinking out his character that eventually is in the book. And so here we see a illustration of an older man, and he even writes. He says, older, with shoes and shoelaces, top coat and bow tie. And then down here, he's sketching out the younger boy who eventually is placed into the book. And it says, eyes defined from freckles, eyes are zeros, and freckles are dots. So it's an exploration of what he eventually used to be the boy in the book.
And even with some color exploration there too. That's cool.
Yeah, so it really shows the artistic process that Oliver Jeffers goes through in this story.
Yeah, it's very, and this is what writers go through, trying to figure out their story. It just doesn't pop right out.
It's never the first draft, is it? Yeah. No, absolutely not. Well, speaking of books, let's move on to our next story. And this is The Great Paper Caper. And so looking at this, what do you think the story might be about, Scottie? The Great Paper Caper.
Wow, looking at all this, let's see. We've got this bear seems to be cutting down trees.
Okay.
I just love these characters too. I mean, look, this bear is walking around on these little spindly legs. How fun is that?
Yeah.
How fun is that?
What do you notice about, speaking of this?
Yes.
What do you notice about what's it made on?
Oh, this looks like something repurposed as well, right? Like maybe a ledger or
just a simple book of some sort, right?
Book
It's
cover.
the book cover.
I was too busy looking at his tooth here.
You were. So it's another example of Oliver Jeffers repurposing something and then creating something new from it. And adding it to a story. But so you're onto something. The bear is a character in the story.
Okay.
And so looking over here, maybe, what do you think the bear is maybe doing?
I think is the bear making? Oh, the bear is making paper.
Oh, he's making paper.
He's a paper maker.
He is a paper maker.
Okay.
And there's a certain reason of why he's making paper. And these guys down here, I think it's a beaver and an owl, go on an investigation to find out who is cutting down all the tree branches in the forest. And why. And so the bear is eventually caught and put on trial. And it turns out that the bear is just cutting down all these tree branches to make paper to then enter a paper airplane making contest.
Okay.
It's something as simple as that, right?
Gotcha.
And so if you look closely here, you can even see he's got a diagram of how he's going to make these paper airplanes.
Well, now I have to read this one. This is one I haven't read, and now I want to know how that ends. Because he's on trial. That's pretty serious.
It's very serious.
And, I love trees, so if you're cutting them down, there has to be a really good reason.
I know. It's not really environmentally friendly, is it? But here we see kind of clues, too. We see a little paper airplane, and this is even made out of paper. And what do you think? Working at the library, you should maybe know what this might be, right? Come on, Scottie, you got this.
The frame?
The whole piece together. What do you think Oliver Jeffers made this to be?
It's a book cover.
It's a book cover.
Yeah. Now, why does it say this jacket must be removed? Why is that?
I'm not
something
sure.
underneath?
Oh, maybe just the story?
Maybe.
That's a good question. We should all explore that. But I love how you even drew a little barcode here.
Let's scan that and see how that goes.
Right? And so this is another great example of him using a collage and mixed media.
Yeah.
Right? A lot of mixed media. Yeah, so at the end of the story, they work together and they help the bear win a paper airplane making contest.
Ah, excellent.
Yes.
Okay.
So let's journey on down here and look at a few more works by Oliver Jeffers. Come down here This might be one of my favorite books of his.
What have we got here?
It's called A Child of Books. A Child of Books. And so, would you consider yourself to be a child of books, Scottie?
I think so.
Yeah.
I got a lot of the books. I think I inherited from my Nana, who coincidentally was a librarian.
Really?
So my love of libraries and books goes way back.
Oh my gosh, that's a beautiful thread.
Are you a child of books?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I feel like I wouldn't be who I am if it weren't for books and stories, right? And so that is really the lesson of this book. The main character is a little girl who is teaching this little boy the importance of storytelling, right? And what's beautiful about these illustrations is that he uses text in them. And you can see a little bit right here. Right here.
Oh, yeah.
It says, once upon a time, there was a child, and it continues
that's
on.
fantastic.
And I've got the book right here, and I'm going to cut across.
Well, I love this. Must be somewhere near the beginning. She says, "Give me your hand. I know the way."
Yes, you're absolutely right.
You always in stories you can look for those folks who are the helpers.
Oh, I love that. The helpers. Look for the helpers. Absolutely. And in the book, you can even see.
Oh yeah, and
how
there's
he
that
uses
text
it.
again.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so this book was created by both Oliver Jeffers and a fine artist, Sam Winston.
Okay.
And so they collaborated on this to make this story together. And so Oliver Jeffers was the one that mainly did the illustration part, and Sam went in and added the text. Or it's also known as typography. Typography. Now, take a look at this illustration right here. It's one of my favorites. It's hinting at a bunch of famous stories. Can you guess what stories it is hinting at?
Well, it looks like Little Red Riding Hood is in there.
Absolutely.
She sticks out. Maybe Aladdin?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure.
Black Beauty,
Oh,
right here.
There you go. Oh, Alice in Wonderland.
Alice in Wonderland, absolutely. And then I want to say Treasure Island even.
Mr. Toad.
Mr. Toad.
Mr. Toad's Wild Ride. Or that's not the name of the story. That's the name of the ride.
You're right. That's the name of the ride at Disney.
So didn't want to bring up that.
Mr. Toad's Adventures. Can't remember. Absolutely. But this is a great example of how art, with art, the more you look, the more you see, right? First glance at looking at this, we wouldn't take in all that information. But if we just spend a few extra minutes, we can see a little bit more.
Well, and I think that's we'll be talking about one of the other books that's kind of like that too, that
right.
I think when you have a book that you can revisit over and over again and still find things in it, that's a great story. And I think that's something that he does really well.
Yep. That's like Harry Potter for me. The more I read, the more I find every time. Absolutely. His use of color too is great. Even just having black and white and then a pop of color here.
Yeah, I love that. Because
Right?
something special happens there.
And can you tell what he used to create these works of art? You can do this.
Quizzing that. So I would say there's ink for sure.
Mm-hmm.
There is some watercolor, but I don't think this is the gouache though.
It is gouache, actually. It is gouache.
For Jeffers, I'm
He-
spoiled again.
Yep, exactly.
So it keeps me on my toes.
So gouache, pen and ink, and even here a little bit of mixed media collage, cutting out illustrations that he did, gluing them on, and adding it to be a collage.
Awesome.
Pretty neat. Yeah. All right, let's take another look at another set of illustrations from a book by Oliver Jeffers. And so this is titled Once Upon an Alphabet. And in this book, it's really, really thick. I don't have it with us in front of us, but it's very thick. And he comes up with a short story for each letter of the alphabet. And so there are some examples of each letter and what story accompanies it. And so, Scottie, I'm going to quiz you.
Okay.
All right? We're going to see if you can
I'm ready
guess.
for this one, I think.
If you can guess which letter goes, or which story, illustration that we see here goes with what letter of the alphabet.
Okay.
So how about this one? What letter of the alphabet?
Well, I'm going to say, so there's that adorable octopus that I recognize from the beginning here, and there's also an owl.
Cool.
So my guess is O.
You are correct. Ding, 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 ding. Okay. Oh, octopus and owl, and they're working together.
Perhaps ocean? No?
I didn't even catch that. Ocean. That's really good. That's great. Now, okay, wait, one more question before we move on. What do you think he used to create this work of art? You got to get it by now. Gouache, yes, gouache. His favorite medium, right? All right, Scottie, what about this one down here? This one's a little harder, okay?
A little harder.
I'll give you, it's going to be hard.
Let's see, tree, is that lightning?
Ooh, it is lightning.
Well, I'm gonna guess an L then.
You are correct. It
yeah,
is L, lightning, and it's actually a lumberjack who's cutting down the trees. Okay. But I'll give you, it's hard to tell there. It's hard to tell there.
Well, he's shocked right out of his clothes.
Yes.
So.
Yes. All right. What about this piece right here? This illustration.
I'm gonna guess G for gorilla.
G for gorilla, and G.
No.
He's a guard.
Guard.
A guard. A guard and a gorilla. You are correct. G is the right answer. So far you've got them all right. All right. You're looking good.
Thanks.
What about this one?
Let's see. There's a king, and he likes cheese. Clearly, and there's a castle. Well, I think I'm gonna go with C, but I don't know.
Oh, it's a good guess. I can see why you would say C because of castle and cheese both starting with the letter C.
True.
But it's actually a K for the king.
Okay.
Who has locked his keys in the castle, and he wants cheese. So, K for a king who's locked out of his castle.
I'm Oliver Jeffers. I'm calling that one a stretch.
That was a stretch. That was a stretch. Okay, this one also might be tough. All right, give it a go though. What letter do we think? We see our familiar friends.
Yep.
They sometimes reoccur.
There's a burglar, and glasses of some kind.
Yeah. Okay, those glasses are important.
Oh, they are.
Because what are they doing?
They are. They're shining your.
I'll give you a hint.
Oh wait, I see. The owl's got glasses. X-ray. Isn't it X?
It's X. It's X.
I have no idea.
X-ray glasses to catch a burglar.
Sometimes I surprise myself.
You do. Okay, I believe in you. You've got this one.
This is gorgeous, by the way.
Isn't it?
We should start there.
It's so
this
pretty.
Is clearly a great use of gouache.
Yes. Oh, you've got it now, Scottie. You can come work at the museum now.
That would be fun. I think. You guys have fun at the museum?
Oh, yes. Yeah. Me and David, absolutely. So which letter of the alphabet? This last one.
Okay, wait a second. Is part of the clue... No, because we have it backwards. Never mind.
No, it's not in alphabetical order.
Because I wanted to jump out and say W for world, but that's... So this is a spaceman, space, S.
Oh, you are so close. It's actually A for astronaut, but that's hard though.
Okay.
I can see world, W, or space. You were very close.
Now, when they're in the book, though, they are in alphabetical order, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So it'd be a little easier.
Yes. Yeah. Yep. In the book, they are in alphabetical order. The way that they were curated here is more for aesthetic pleasing of the eye, I would say, right? The size of the pieces have to do with why the curator decides to put it in a certain order. But yeah, maybe in this case, alphabetical could have been a better hint for us.
Well, I understand why the museum person did their job that way. Good job, museum people.
Curator. Curator. But
that's a C.
That's a C. Oh, that would have been a good C illustration. All right.
Well, this is a great book.
This is a great book. So this will be the last book that we'll talk about for today. And this is Here We Are. Here We Are. And it's Oliver Jeffers' most recent book. excluding the one that comes out actually this October. But he wrote this book for his son. All right, his son was born and he thought, oh my gosh, he knows nothing. He's a baby. He's like an alien coming into a planet. He knows nothing about the world. So what can I do to tell him about planet Earth, about the place that we live? And so he created this book, and here was a test illustration of the cover. It says, "Welcome to Planet Earth, the basic things you need to know." And so this was one draft of what the cover would be. And as we can see here from this book right here, this was what ended up being the final version of the book. Here we are, Notes for Living on Planet Earth. And so I highly recommend this book if you have like a friend who's maybe pregnant.
And when I've told people about the Oliver Jeffers exhibit over and over again, I hear people saying they've gotten this book as a gift for people.
Yes.
For reasons just like that. So, Molly, earlier we were looking around at the exhibit and we discovered a little mystery here that we don't know the answer to. But it also is kind of cool because it shows an earlier version of this illustration, but also something very real. There's a note here that said Harlan did this, and then there's just sort of the illustration was messed up.
That is a really good point.
So we want to know, who is Harlan?
Who is Harlan?
Is Harlan a cat?
I'm not sure. A person?
Child, or,
I'm not sure. It's something that we need to know. We need to find out. Who is Harlan?
We'll have to investigate. But I love that you can have this experience of seeing that. You're not going to see that in the finished polished book, right?
Right.
So you get some insight into his work, and you probably put a lot of work into that illustration, and then along came Harlan.
More part of the pre-planning, right?
Exactly.
And so, as you said, Scottie, that this ended up not being the illustration placed into the book, but this ended up being. And so I'm wondering why he decided to change the human figure. It almost looks like maybe an alien figure in this illustration to be more natural people here. Different ages, it looks like, different ethnicities. Yeah. But you're right, Harlan's little mistake up here, which maybe wasn't a mistake,
Maybe not.
wasn't featured.
Maybe then that helped him to rethink. Helped Oliver Jeffers to rethink what the. And this is a great depiction because it also shows community and again how people help you along the way.
Absolutely, that's a really good takeaway from this book. How people help you along the way. And then here we've got this original illustration too, which looks pretty close. Looks pretty close to what was used.
Well, that one Harlan didn't get around.
You're right.
So it made it through.
Absolutely. But I love this book because it not only teaches us about space and geography, but it also teaches us about people, how we're made, and then who can help us. You said earlier, look for the helpers, and this book also kind of points that out and says that too. Yeah.
Awesome. And that one I know is in our collection at Orange County Library System, along with a lot of other books. There are even some young adult books that Oliver Jeffers has worked on that are in the collection. And you can find them not only as a hardback book, but you can find them in ebooks. So it's even quicker to be able to check those out.
And access them. Absolutely. Yeah. Well, Scottie, thanks for joining me today. I've had so much fun. Before we leave today, we do have a special announcement. The Orlando Museum of Art is going to have 3 virtual pajama parties that will be released in October, starting on October 9th. All right, so that's something to look forward to, virtual pajama parties with me in the galleries and storytellers and musicians, and even an interview with Oliver Jeffers. So look forward to that come this October. In addition, if you want to subscribe to our e-news, you can subscribe at the link below. And Scottie, do you have things to share with us? It's an important month this month for the library, right?
Thank you for pointing that out. Yes, September is, well, for libraries in general, it's National Library Card Sign-Up Month. So if you're watching this and you don't have your library card, what are you waiting for? Get out there and get it. It's a very easy thing to do. For our library, you just go to ocls.info/getyourcard to get it.
Wow.
We should also mention we've got some cool stuff happening in October. There's Trick or Treat Safe Zone. So no matter what's happening in the world right now, Halloween is still happening.
Yes.
And so at the library during the last week of October, we'll have some virtual events. But all through the month of October, you can go to our library branches and pick up goodies from them. So check that out. You can find that out at find out information about that at ocls.info/trick-or-treat. So 2 cool things. But mainly, I want you to remember that library card thing. If you don't have yours, come on, get with it.
I need to double check on mine. I want to say I have it. I need to double check it though. I'll double check it. I'll double check it, Scottie. All right, guys. Well, thanks for tuning in with us. Thanks for being here, Scottie.
Thanks for having me. This was great.
It was a lot of fun. All right, guys. Bye.
Thank you.